So I would like you to take your books out and turn to the lesson Sanyojana. This is lesson 13. It's called Fetters. Lesson 13, Fetters. And keep your videos on. And we are going to do this lesson today. All right. So what is a fetter? Now, this all starts with the whole idea that we are beings going through this whole journey of samsara. Okay, so what's happening in samsara? You get born, then you live your life, then you die, and you get born again, and again, and again, and again. So if you keep getting born again each time you die, and nirvana being once you are enlightened and you die, you do not get born again. Okay, so if you are not enlightened, each time you die, you get born again. Now you can get born again in any one of the planes, right? Some people happen to get born in planes, actually, like planes, aeroplanes, very rarely. Okay. Very rarely we have heard cases of a person getting born in an aeroplane. The problem with that is, how do you decide citizenship? Huh? Well, at the time the person was born, you have to see which country were you flying over. And that is your citizenship, I guess. Suppose you're over the ocean. Well, you're part of the fish. You can claim part of the empire of who wants to see girls? Ocean Man? Or I need to refresh myself on my Marvel movies, right? What was that guy? That guy, the fish guy? Aquaman. Aquaman, yeah, something like that. Anyway, coming back. So here what I mean by planes is the human plane, any of the Satarapayas, the heavenly planes, and the Brahmin planes, right? So, okay, so the whole point is that in this whole samsara journey, you keep getting born again. Now, what is the reason? So there are, of course, reasons. So the Four Noble Truths talks about craving. You want to get born again. Why? Because deep down, unconsciously, you feel this is fun, right? Yeah, lot of fun. Yeah, and you want to experience this fun again and again and again. So therefore, at the point of dying, there's a lot of yearning to continue all of this. Okay, so the Buddha said, according to the teaching of the Buddha, all living beings exist in a continuous succession of birth and rebirth called samsara, the wheel of existence. Beings are tied to the wheel of existence by a series of mental attachments called fetters or sanyojana, which are 10 in number. These mental attachments are called fetters because they're like a chain that binds us to samsara. Given that the ultimate goal of Buddhism or Buddhists is to attain Nibbana, we need to eliminate these 10 fetters by continuous effort or in one go to reach enlightenment. Okay, so what does this mean? So fetters means, so visualize a chain, right? You know, in every chain, there is two rings intertwined like this, right? And imagine 10 rings like this intertwined. That makes a chain, right? So in order to break free of this birth, rebirth cycle, you have to break these 10 rings of this chain. Yeah. And if I switch on my video, they are removing me from the meeting, teacher. Who are they? How dare they do that to a student of mine? I shall personally complain. It's okay. I know that you are there, and I know you'll be paying attention, okay? All right. Okay, so that's this whole thing about this. So you can, all of you have been to the zoo and you have seen how an elephant is tied, right, in the zoo. So think of a chain that is tying this elephant, and that elephant is held, that leg is bound with this chain, and the chain is keeping the elephant from moving freely. So something like that, right? So how do you break free? So these are metaphors, Buddhas, because why Buddha was such a fantastic teacher is because he used day-to-day things to try and explain things in the mind, right? So things in the mind, if you try to explain it from a psychological point of view, it would have been very, very complicated, right? But when he uses normal day-to-day examples, then suddenly you're like, okay, I get it. Okay, so we have our cravings, and those cravings are like mental chains that keep us bound to this samsara. So there are 10 such things which makes this whole chain, right? So it suddenly becomes easy to think about. Yeah. So that's amazing how he simplified very complex things. And this is why even children could get this, right? And people who haven't gone to school per se, got it. Yeah. Okay, so what are these? So that is what fetters are. So if there's a question, what are fetters? Why are they called? This is the answer, right? So this note is prepared based on questions that have come in the last 10 years, right? So these are like short answers. Some are long answer questions. A short answer question can be what are fetters and why are they so called? A long answer would be what are fetters, why are they called? And then it will be required to explain the whole 10 in detail, right? So when we go through the papers, you will see what are short answer questions and what are long answer questions. All right, so these are the 10 fetters. Sakkaya Ditthi, personality belief or self-illusion. Vicikiccha, which is skeptical doubt. Silabbata Paramasa, which is adherence to heretic rites and rituals. Kamaraga, desire for sense pleasures. Vyapada, which is ill will. Ruparaga, craving for rebirth in the world of fine material realm. Aruparaga, craving for rebirth in the formless realm. Mana, which is conceit. Uddacha, which is agitation. Avijja, which is ignorance. Okay, so all of these things you have heard before. Ruparaga, those kind of things you meet a lot in Abhidhamma, right? So there's nothing new here. But what I find beautiful in this lesson is the whole idea of, so think of it practically, right? Why is this lesson important to you? It is important for anyone who wants peace of mind, right? So what is peace of mind? Peace of mind is the opposite of a mind that is on fire, right? We say, avileccha manasa. Manasa avilena, right? When does a mind start burning and being on fire? Various things, right? All negative. So think of all negative emotions setting your mind on fire, and think of all the positive emotions as the opposite of it is peace and calm. So what are the negative emotions? We have anger, we have jealousy, we have sadness, sorrow, anxiety, fear. What else? Yeah. All of those things make us feel in a bad mood, feel you're in a bad place. අවුල් කියන්නේ හරි අවුල් අප්පා කියලා කියන්නේ. So ඒ මනස ඇවිලිලා. So nirvana is actually a nivima, right? Now nirvana is not some fancy, something that should interest only your grandmother, for example, or grandfather. Nirvana is something that should interest everybody. And what is nirvana? When your mind is agitated with anger, sadness, jealousy, What else? Irritation, frustration, fears, panics, hopelessness, whatever negative. How do you calm down and how do you come into a positive state, right? So nirvana is a calm, positive state of the mind. Nivilayam. Yeah. So therefore, these 10 are the reasons why, if you think at some point, life is not great, life is this and life is that, these are the 10. Just check them out and see which one is really bothering me right now, which one is causing this. Yeah. And it will be easy for you to figure it out. Okay. So what is the first one? The first one that causes all the problems for us is Sakaya Ditti, the personality belief. Now, I have explained this a little bit before, and we'll be going into this in detail under Paticca Samuppada, which is not in this book. It's in the next part of the syllabus that we want to cover for you. And there we'll go into detail of these 5 aggregates, right? But essentially, where does this belief of self come from? Yeah. So one is you need to think about, how do you feel that you exist? Yeah. We feel we exist because we can see things. And when we see things, we think, I am seeing. We can hear things, so we can see things with our eyes, and that makes us feel there is me and I am seeing things. This whole feeling of me being a permanent entity, right? Here is me and I see things. Then your ear can hear things. So then you feel, okay, who is hearing? I am hearing. I can hear things. Then there's your nose. And when you get some, either an aroma or a fragrance or something not so great, you can smell things, right? Who can smell? I can smell. Yeah. So then the taste. We all know that if you give the same dish to 5 people, some might like it, some might not like it, some might be indifferent. Why is that? It's the same dish. That's because the way I enjoy a taste is very different to how you enjoy a taste, right? Now, if I ask you what is your favorite food, you will tell various different things. Yeah. Even if I ask you what is your favorite ice cream, which I want because I used to those days. Now ice cream is too expensive. Otherwise, I would ask you, what is your favorite ice cream, and got it for you. Okay. Maybe before your prefectship is over, I should at least treat you for ice creams. No? What do you think? Yeah. Not just the prefects, seniors. Most important people in the Dhamma school, the senior class. We will show you our appreciation with ice cream. We'll check for discounts, of course. Buy one, get one free. If you see any promotions, let me know. That will be the day we'll celebrate. Okay. Anyway, coming back. So the tongue. The tongue is a sense door, and through your senses, you again feel that there is you, and it becomes even more established because if you take your family, the 4 of you or 5 of you or 3 of you, you will be having very different tastes. Those things further establishes that there's me, and this is what I like. This is what I don't like. Okay. And then your body, and your mind, which thinks. Now, these 6 sense doors, and when they interact with a sense object, gives you the feeling that I exist. Okay. So that is how this feeling of me, myself, I gets constructed. Now, all Pratagjanas believe that I exist. Not only that, they believe that there's something permanent about this. Why do I say that? Think of you exist from the time you're born until you die, right? Now, how old are you? So let's take, who shall we pick on today? What, Malisha? Malisha, how old are you?
I'm still 15.
All right. So when you're 15, right, we have an earliest recollection of our baby times, child times. And then beyond that earliest recollection, there are photos. So your mom will show your baby photo and say, like, this is you when you were born. This is you when you were 1 week old, right? So through that, we construct our past. So most of it we remember because we have memory, right? Now, some people have really good memory. I, for one, can't remember anything before 7. I can't. Everything is like after 7, so I have no idea what happened before that. But there are some kids who remember very, very early stages. Any one of you? What's the earliest you remember? Anyone remembers before 7? You guys should remember. You are closer to 7, right? 15 means what? I'm like at 50, I can remember 7. Yeah, go ahead, listen.
Yes, I remember when I was in lower nursery and upper nursery, how I had my birthdays in school. So we basically took our cake to school.
Yeah, very nice. Beautiful. So
Yes,
how old were you, do you think? What was that earliest memory?
uh, I was 2.5 years old in lower
Oh my
nursery.
goodness. Oh wow. Okay. Anyone can beat that. Anyone can beat Resanthi. So she can remember from 2.5. Dirali, how about you? You were laughing. Hmm? Can you remember from last birth? Nisuli, what about you? Anyone else? Niveja? What's the earliest memory you have? How old? Last week? You're on mute. Ah, yes.
When I had my first earrings on, like what we call as Anavitana, the first time I still remember that nurse
Ah,
that came to that moment I have it.
how old were you?
Like I have no idea, like 1 year or something
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
Maybe said there.
What an alien.
Before one, before
Can't
one.
be human.
No, I still have that moment with me. Like I
Right,
remember it.
right. කවුරුහරි ඔයාගේ කන මිරිකලා you remember. No wonder. 1-year-old ගේ කන මිරිකුවා. No, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Yeah. Some children have very, very early memories, right? That's brilliant. Sadini, do you have any early memories? How early is, I mean, how far can you go? So Niveja now, so Resanthi had the cup until now, 2.5. Now Niveja beat it. අවුරුදු 2 කවුදාගේ කන මිරිකුවද? And she's accusing the nurse. Sadini, anything for you?
I can remember grade 1.
Grade 1, yay! Sadini is like me. Okay, thankfully. Okay, but grade 1, I think at your time was probably 5 or 6 years old. My time it was 7. Anyway. So, okay. Now this is the question to you all, right? You have these earliest memories. Now, what do you know about the past? Is the past gone or does the past still exist?
It's God.
It's gone. But when you think of yourself and the past, does it feel like it's gone or does it feel like that is you? Those memories are still there, right? Yeah.
We
Yes.
feel like memories are still there with us.
Yes, of course. So this is what is happening in the mind. The past is gone. It's gone. There's nothing about it that is real. It's all gone. But because of our memories, it feels like it's there. It feels real. Okay. So one reason why we feel we exist is because of that. We have brought a sense of continuity into this whole idea of me, myself, right? So now when we take you kids, 15, 16 years old, so you are having this existence of 15, 16. Now, if you take me, 50 years, right? And that's not all. We not only we feel a continuity of that through these memories, we project it to the future as well. Now, most of us unconsciously probably believe that we'll be around for about 80, 85. Yeah, that is normally considered the standard age in this part of town, right? Yeah, because I mean, if you're in a war zone or something, those things drastically come down. But in Sri Lanka, it's quite normal for somebody to unconsciously think that, So we have the memories of the past, a projection of the future, and we have almost created an existence of 80 years around this whole idea of me, myself, I. And it's all in the mind because the projection you can't touch, it hasn't happened yet. The past is gone. It's not real. But in the mind, it feels like, so this gives you a feeling of a continuity, of an existence. Okay. Whereas science has found that you are a bundle of atoms. You're a bundle of atoms. And what is one atom? In one atom, there is this nucleus. Inside there are protons and neutrons. Then there's the electrons around you. So which atom are you? You are a bundle of atoms. So can I point to one atom and say, okay, Resanthi is this atom right now? Or, and the Buddha didn't have all these sophisticated scientific equipment, but he had an extremely sophisticated mind, which beat all the scientific equipment. So he meditated. It was insight meditation, Vidarshana, first person to introduce it to the world. The Samatha meditation, which is meditations that helps you to calm down and focus, like Anapanasati and so on. Those techniques existed in the world, in the Hindu religions, and people had mastered them, where they could actually go into dhyana labhin, they could go into those various dhyana. But the Buddha didn't put much value into those because those kind of went into ability to do, perform stuff. But the Buddha was more keen to find out. He used those techniques to calm down and to concentrate, and then he used that sharply concentrated mind to penetrate and really understand what is going on in this mind and this body. And what he found out was, long before people found out the atom, long before the atom was split, he saw really small things, what we call particles, really small particles, right? So he saw that we are made of, so he had a nice concept. So he said, if something can be removed and put into pieces, can you keep removing and breaking them into pieces until you can't break it anymore? So what he said was, look at your body, right? So it looks like it's one piece, but actually you can break it up. There are the bones separately, there's the flesh separately, there are the nerves, right? Then if you take a bone and start breaking up, or take the flesh or the nerves, you can break it down into a cell level. Then if you break down the cell, you can go up to an atom level. Break up the atom, you can go to subatom level. And the subatoms also, I believe, are broken, I forget. Anyway, right? So now the words we use now are not what, I mean, those are words that came later, but what I'm trying to tell you is, through insight meditation, the Buddha could take layer by layer, and see, is there something that cannot be broken anymore? And he found that there is a particle that cannot be broken anymore, right? So he discovered that we are made of these really tiny particles, and they are too small to be seen by the eye. So because we can't see it in the eye, we don't think it's true, because we believe what we see. What we can't see, most people are not interested in, right? Nowadays, of course, we believe what we can't see because it's presented as science, There are books, there are diagrams. Then in your labs, there are, what do you call those, what do you call the Anviksha? Whatever that is. What is it? Himbalani. Where you can look at cells and stuff. Microscope. Thank you, Dan. You know, you have your microscopes and you can see small particles. So now you can again believe because there are pictures and all, right? If not, nobody would have believed. So when you see a person, you actually, your eyes shows you a person, but in reality, it's a walking bundle of particles. Yeah. Now, so therefore the Buddha said, look, there is a conventional world and there's a real world. In the conventional world, you need to deal with what you are seeing. So you see somebody, you give the person a name. So that's why you have a Niveja there, you have a Saimi there, and you have a Isini here, right? You can't say bundle of atom 1, bundle of atom 2, bundle of atom 3, right? Rather put names and call people by their names. Yeah. So what you see is limited to what your eye can see. But when you close your eyes and look at things through your mind, through meditation, then you can see far more than what your eye can see, right? So enlightened beings don't rely on the normal senses to make sense of this world. Now, that's the difference between us and enlightened beings. Normal Pratyajnas, we make sense of this world out of our sense doors. For the eye, you can see, from the ear, you can hear, right? So hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, feeling on touches on the body, and like on a hot day like this, the touch of the fan is nice, right? On a cold day, you'll switch off the fan because the wind touching you makes you feel cold. Yeah. So, and the thoughts, moods, emotions that comes, the combination of that makes us feel, I am here, this is me, right? And it gives you some depth and breadth in it. So there's a time, you're occupying space, and then that story starts building. So, you go to school, you go to uni, you go to work later, you get married. So my school, my university, my family, my country. So a nice story starts getting constructed based on what you can see by your senses, right? And therefore, Pratyajnas like us, we are limited to this conventional world that is experienced through the senses which are in the body. Now, the reality cannot be seen by these senses. Okay? The reality can be experienced though. So would you like to experience the fact that every moment your body is changing? You can experience that. You can experience that right now. Close your eyes. I'll tell you how. These are very simple. Now, Vidarshana is not some ingenious thing that you have to go to a forest and not eat and, not sleep. Something you can do on the go. Okay, so close your eyes. Okay. And focus your attention on the sole of your foot, what we call yatipatula. You feel a bit of tingling, a bit of numbness, hirivetla wage, or kumi duwanawa wage, or do you feel like your skin is stretching or your skin is contracting, a bit of warmth, a bit of cold, hardness, softness, something on your feet, right? So most people feel a bit of tingling, right? Sometimes it can be a slight vibration like thing, these are very, very subtle, okay? Danena, not danena, taranata, that is what subtle means. You can almost feel it, you can almost not feel it. So these are subtle things. So at the sole of your foot, another place you can feel these kind of sensations clearer is your hand, the palm of your hand, what we call atla, right? I'm showing it on the video, palm of your hand, right? So if you just focus your attention on the palm of your hand, you'll feel a similar tingling effect, numbness, kumbidunawa wage, adena wage, and something like pressing, contracting. Somebody might feel a slight warmth, some coldness, some pressure, some lightness, some kind of a thing. Another place you can easily experience these sensations is up here on the head. We call it the telvala, right? Up here on the head. If you just focus your attention to the top of your head, if you don't feel anything, you can just jumpstart feelings. You just take your hand and just do a bit of this, just scratch it a bit here on the top. Okay, just scratch the top of your head a bit gently with your fingers, and then focus your attention, and then you'll feel some sensations. Again, it can be some kumbiduanawage, or stretching, contracting, tightening, or some kind of a release, slight heat, coldness, something. All right, so how many of you felt something either on the sole, on the palm, on the head? Anyone? Raise the hand. Don't worry, I won't quiz you about it. I just want to know whether you felt something or not. Okay, so Isini felt, who else? Visually. Listen, you are touching your nose. You felt something on your nose? Okay, that's the felt, okay. What about you? Saimi, did you feel anything, Bobby? You can just put your hand up like this if you felt. Okay. Sadini, what about you? Okay, Saimi felt, Sadini felt. Niveja? And okay, all right. Okay, great. So everybody felt something. Okay, so you can put your hands down. So what does that mean? Now, technically, these sensations are there all over your body, everywhere. Every little millisecond of your body, millimeter of your body, there are sensations. Now, if you can't feel them, it's not because they are not there. It's because you are not sensitive to those, right? So when you meditate a bit, do some anapanasati, calm your mind down, and your mind gets concentrated. And then when you start looking, so generally you can look from head to toe, from toe to head, you will start to feel these sensations all over your body. Now, what are these sensations? So what the Buddha discovered was these sensations are there because those tiny particles that you are made of, they're like really, really small, and there's like a billion, trillion, zillion of them. They are changing all the time, right? They are coming to being, they are changing, and they are dying. So in his language, it was Magadha, which we call Pali. He called this Jati, Jara, Marana. Jati means they get born, Jara means they change, Marna means they cease to exist. And it's not that they're all happening at the same time, so they are all happening at multiple times. So imagine this bundle of particles. They are all changing really fast. Within a moment, they have changed, and some parts have come to, some ones have got born, some others have changed, some others have died. So lot of change and activity going on. Yeah. And then he said, as a result of all those change that is happening, you feel these different sensations. So he said, you can experience this. You can experience this firsthand, how much you are changing right now. Okay. And he said, when you experience this, when you really know firsthand that you are changing now all the time, you realize then which part is me in this body, because we identify as me and myself with my body. We also identify me, myself with my mind. The combination is how we identify myself. So which part of the body is you, right? So many particles. They are changing all the time. Which one is you, right? It becomes difficult. Right now it's theoretical, but as you do insight meditation, this is called Vedananupassana, because you are focusing on feelings, the feeling of numbness, the feeling of tingling, the feeling of this, that, and the other, all those are feelings. So this is what Vedananupassana is, right? Then you realize over a time that there is no body here. Even though to your eye you can see, to your hand, you can hold it, you can touch your body, you can feel your head, you can feel your nose. That is because your normal senses can perceive it, but in reality, it is made of tiny particles that are changing so much that there's really nothing to show here as this is my body. Then he looked at the mind, what's happening in the mind, and he found the mind is changing even faster. Now, the body, at least those particles, there's jati jara marana, ipadila venasala marana. The mind changes so fast, there is no jara, jati marana, jati marana, jati marana, tan, 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 right? The mind changes really, really fast. So, and therefore, and this is also something that is, so you can see this as well, right? So in Chittanupassana, what we do is we just close our eyes and just be focused on, things that come your way. So when your eyes are closed, let's say you can hear something. So what you hear, do you like it? Do you not like it? Or are you neutral towards it? You can feel something on your body. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you neutral towards something? When you close your eyes and when you start looking at it, right? So what you like, again, Magadha Bhashaවෙන් කිව්වේ to things you like, ලෝභ, right? Things you don't like, Magadha Bhashaවෙන් කිව්වේ ද්වේෂ කියලා, right? So ලෝභ ද්වේෂ. And things you are neutral about falls under moha, but moha is also about believing that there is a me. When you believe there is a me, then there are things I like and there are things I dislike, right? So, lobha, dvesha, moha. So, Chittanupassana will help you see how this happens. And then you start realizing how fast your mind is just going from one to another, and your mind can be only at one place at one sense at a time. So you're either seeing, or you're hearing, or you're listening, or you're tasting, or you're touching, or you're thinking, one at a time, right? But sometimes you feel like you're doing everything. Like when you're watching a movie, you are watching, you are hearing, and you are eating popcorn, right? And if you are with a friend, you are like, honey, and all right. Of course, the friend also saw, the friend was just sitting with you, right? So, and if it is something scary, you are like, you hold the friend's hand. So it looks like all the senses are firing at the same time. But if you break it up, if you break it into a second and see what happened in a second, then you break that second into 10 and say 1/10 of a second. So what really happened was 1/10 of a second, your mind was on the eye, what the eye can see. Next 1/10 of a second, the mind was on what you were hearing. Next 1/10 of a second, your mind was on your popcorn, what you were eating. Next 1/10 of a second, your mind was on your thoughts of, I must tell my friend about this, right? It's really weird, no? How we are both watching the same thing and I still want to tell, did you see? Did you see? Did you see? Oh my God, did you see what happened? Right? So, and then when you add it all up, it feels like in 1 second, all of these things happen. Yeah. So again, remember, this reality cannot be experienced from the normal senses. Normal senses. It cannot be experienced. It can only be experienced from insight meditation, right? So that is why in the conventional world, in the world that you, me, we all live in, where we feel like I exist and I'm a continuing thing, and there's my past, there's my future, and all of that, it all feels so real, right? So what the Buddha said was this self, Sakkaya Ditti is this belief in self. Now, when you are writing in the paper, please don't go and write all of these things, okay? They'll be like, that probably personally want to fire me or something, okay? This is what is really happening, and you don't need to go into that detail. So if you look at the note, it says, this is the belief in self. We are made of the 5 aggregates, right? So these 5 aggregates are all mental things. Rupa is, here, of course, they say it's the physical body, but it's not. But look, for the sake of passing the exam, just write the thing, okay? So Rupa is the physical body, Vedana is feeling, Sanya is perception, Sankhara is mental factors, Vijnana is consciousness. You don't need to argue about these things. And also it's think of it as a simplified version, yeah? We like to believe that there's an unchanging being me, myself, that goes from birth to birth. This mental attachment to me, myself, due to this whole personality belief, this is the fetter that keeps us tied to samsara. Okay, so that is like a long answer. If you want to write a short answer, what is Sakkaya Ditthi? Believing in me, the whole me, myself, I, believing in a self, right? That is Sakkaya Ditthi. So that's where we all are. And you need to really be convinced that there is no you, there's no me. There's nothing that exists here, because if you take a split second of a time, the body has changed and the mind has changed even faster. So what are we talking about here, right? Everything has changed. Now the thing is this: when you go and look at yourself in the mirror, it's the same you, right? The you that you saw yesterday is the same you that you saw today, because your eye cannot see this change. Yeah, actually it has changed. It's changing all the time. But how your eye will see these changes, it needs time. So in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, so at your age, of course, the changes become easier to see, especially from childhood to becoming a youth. But after a certain point, you don't see the change at all. It takes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You would have heard, your mom's friends come and tell your mom, "Ani, ඔයා නම් වෙනස් වෙලා නැහැ පොඩ්ඩක්වත්. ඉස්කෝලේ යන කාලේ වගේමයි." Right? How is that possible, right? That's because that is how the eye sees it. Eye doesn't see the change that is happening right now. Okay? So this whole belief in self is one main reason why we keep going from birth after birth. Yeah. So breaking that is a big deal. Yeah. Then this whole skeptical doubt, right? Doubt of the Buddha, the doubt of his teaching. So what is the doubt about the Buddha? Did he really get enlightened? Did he really, all of these things seems fine, but now he says that he got enlightened. What on earth is that? So having doubts about these things, and it's normal. It's normal to have doubts, right? Because to get rid of these doubts, the only way you'll get rid of those doubts is when you have some experience, first-hand experience of what the Buddha was talking about, right? So for example, the Buddha said, look, you have misunderstood existence. You have got confused. And you have got this belief that you exist. Actually, you don't. You don't exist. Now, if you don't exist, what's the good thing about it? Then there's no one to grow old. There's no one to fall sick. There's no one to die. So he called it a deathless state. When you understand that you don't exist, suddenly all the problems in your life is gone, right? All the problems are because we believe we exist. And because we exist, we grow old, we fall sick, and we die. But if we don't exist, who is to grow old? Who is to grow sick? Who is to fall sick? And who is to die? Yeah. Now, unless we experience this, you'll be like, huh? What? Say what? Yeah. So, so that is what they mean by doubting the Buddha, right? And the Dhamma and the Sangha. The Sangha means the people who have the enlightened monks. The training, the system, the Eightfold Path, and things of the past, things of the future, and dependent origination. Okay, so having that doubt. And of course, adherence to heretic rites and rituals. Now, forget heretic rites and rituals. You can see today, people, rather than try to figure out this, do I exist? Who am I? Do I exist? $1 million question. Rather than try to figure out this, what do people like to do? People like to go and worship and pray and say, may I pass O-level with 9 A's? Go and study, will you? Right? You go and study, you will pass. What do you say? Yeah, you can't. So, but what people prefer is to pray for it, right? And hope somebody else will do the work for you. Yeah. So you see all kinds of pujas these days. Now, there's nothing wrong with pujas. It sila samadhi prajna, right? So dana sila bhavana. So it helps you in the whole shraddha part. When there's too much shraddha, you might lose a bit of wisdom and you might do things that are really not helpful for you. The opposite of shraddha is wisdom. And when there's too much wisdom, also that's not good. Then you start losing the shraddha and you start becoming very arrogant and haughty. So it's a bit of a balance that you need. You need Shraddha and wisdom both together. Okay. So Silabata Paramasa is when people do various rites and rituals. So those days there were some religions where people behaved like animals. They did it because they felt if we do this, we will cleanse our sins and we will get enlightened. So there were some who took on a practice of living like a goat. And how does that go? Okay, so have you seen a goat with clothes? No, right? So anybody who takes on this practice then cannot wear clothes because goats don't wear clothes. So then they don't wear clothes. And how does a goat eat? The goat eats with his mouth and it's on his fore. There are no hands and legs, right? They are on their fores. So then these people will eat with their mouth and they'll be on their fores and they'll eat what the goat eats. So the belief that that will lead to enlightenment, right? So nowadays it might look funny, but for whatever the reason, those people believe that that is the way. So I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's we may have done that too, you know. We don't know where we were. We may have been doing that too. Yeah. So yeah, so the bull, the bat. I have seen some pictures in some Hindu stories where people, so they, you know how bats are, right? So they hang from a branch. So these guys, they will hang from a branch and somebody will tie them so that they don't fall, because if you fall, you can get injured. And they will wait like that for days, hanging from a branch, right? So all these things fall under the extreme, what do you call them? So the Buddha said extreme pleasures or extreme rituals, both are not going to help. Atta kilamatana yoga, right? So they fall under those atta kilamatana yoga, because if you're hanging from a branch, you are definitely not eating, right? Nobody's going to go and feed you up there on a branch. Yeah. So you want to hang up there for whatever the time. And if it rains, you get some water. If it doesn't rain, you don't have water. Yeah. So living like that for a couple of days, hopefully, not months. Anyway, so Silabhata Paramas. Okay. So Kamaraga is this whole desire for sense pleasures. Yeah. So we have the eye, ear, nose, mouth, or the tongue, and the body and the mind. And you keep the mind aside, then this is Kamaraga is usually the first five. This is, you know, you like to see beautiful things, like that's why we watch movies, entertaining things. We like to hear entertaining music. We like to taste delightful foods, yeah, and we like nice fragrances. So we like to delight in these sense pleasures. And of course, Vyapada is if someone hurts your feelings, then you feel angry and you want to hurt them back. It's a very normal thing. It's in the animal kingdom. Everywhere you see this, right? You kick a dog and the dog will want to bite you. You shouldn't kick a dog to start with. But if you do, it will really make the dog mad and want to bite you. Right? So similarly, if somebody hurts you, what happened to all the videos, by the way? Hello, people. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So this whole Vyapada. So the craving for the fine material realm, formless realm, I think you will be able to explain to me better with your Abhidhamma background, right? Conceit, mana and conceit. Now this is very interesting. This is, even if you give up this whole idea of there is no self, there'll still be some part of it left, and that is this whole conceit part. The conceit part comes from, I am better than you. Now, every human has this. Now, you might not agree. You might say, no, I don't think like that. But really, really think deeply. We all have this feeling that we are better than others, right? So it starts with, usually, you know, you look at your peers and say that, hey, I'm better than that. Then you look at your juniors and you say, I'm definitely better than that. Look at that. And then you start looking at your seniors and saying like, you know what, I'm better than them as well, right? So it can be in certain spheres. So people who are into meditation, they have this chip on the shoulder that, you know, they are better than the non-meditating people. Then people who observe SIL, they'll have this feeling that because they observe SIL, they are better people, especially than the people who don't observe SIL. Now, they may not go and say it, but in their mind, it's like, okay, I'm a really good person, you know. What else? People who are, let's take from students' point of view, what will make a person haughty? So if there's one kid who is always becoming first in the class, right? After some time, some arrogance breeds, you know, like, hey, I am the man, right? Or the woman, either ways. If you're good in sports, you're like, you know, I'm the king, right? Good looks, yeah, I am so good looking. Good voice, right? So we will find something or the other to make us feel that we are better than others. And even if we are not, we'll say that, you know, I'm actually good, but I may not have tried, I may have been lazy, but I know I'm better than all of them. So this haughtiness, this wanting to feel better above others, yeah. Sometimes it also comes as an inferiority, but it's mostly the whole feeling of I'm better than others. Agitation. How many of you feel your mind is agitated when you're trying to study? That feeling of yeah, it's quite a normal thing, right? And I had noticed how much the mind is agitated. Only when you meditate, these things become very clear. And I enjoy meditating because when you are meditating, it's like you are in a science lab, right? You just do nothing and you just observe, and then you see all of these things, right? And these are very simple things, like when you just close your eyes and do nothing and just watch what's happening. After some time, you'll be agitated. You're like, what the hell am I doing? I need to do this, I need to do that. And it's agitated mind, right? Thinking of what to do next. Thinking about, okay, I want to do 10 minutes. How many minutes is gone now? And that's the impatient mind, right? So you really get to see this. So agitation, how is that holding you in samsara? Restlessness of the mind, which comes from a lack of understanding that everything is subject to change. Agitation in the mind comes when one fails to cope with change. Agitation arises when people try to excel in various things. Yeah, we get agitated when it's the opposite of calm, right? A lot of things makes us agitated. You think when you're on the road, how agitated you are. Why is this traffic not moving? I'm going to be late. Mom, I'm going to be late. I think it's the mom who is agitated in some of your cases. I know the mom is like, get ready, child. You are going to be late. Okay. Then you must remind your mother, agitation is one of the Sanyojana fetters. It's keeping you in the samsara. And your mom will say, you are the one keeping me in the samsara, not my agitation. Anyway, it's a Dhamma opportunity for the mother and child, okay? And last is, of course, ignorance, that not realizing that everything is impermanent. Why we don't realize that everything is impermanent right now is because we believe what our eye sees, we believe what our ear hears, and we don't think there's something beyond what the eye and the ear and the nose and the mouth and everything else, right? So, but if we go beyond what our senses can tell us, and if we look at things with insight, vipassana, then you will realize that, my goodness, things are changing so much. Okay, so I'll stop there, and this is a heavy lesson, so I will do a little bit of a revision of it before finishing the rest of it. Okay, and it's now 10 o'clock, and you guys need to come early tomorrow to Dhamma school. Yay! And tomorrow for book 3, Sineja will do Abhidhamma. I have to attend an external event, so I'm not there just for tomorrow. But I'll do another extra class on Sunday. Are you guys okay for Sunday same time? 9 to 10? That's cool. And thereafter, I'm there every Saturday. Okay. So be good. Help ruinists and others. to run the show. Okay. In the morning, Amisha teacher said she'll come early. Not sure who else can come. Start at 8, right? Start the morning puja, the flower line and everything, and see whether the Venerable Thero is there. If he's there, that's fine. If he's not there, we will do the Gathan all together like we did once. All right? Okay. Long story short is, the show must go on. All right? Everybody okay with that? Awesome. Then I wish you a good night and a very happy Dhamma school tomorrow. And I'll see you on Sunday, 9 p.m. on Zoom. Bye. Everyone say night.
Thank you, teacher.
Good night.
Miss, have a nice day, miss. Good night, miss.
Good night.
Thank you,